Hey, Joni here with Realty Executives in the Villages. I want to take a minute and talk about this huge topic that has been a question um, more than once in the last 3 weeks. I think I have gotten this question. And for some of us, it is old news. It's not a big deal. We're just kind of on autopilot and we don't even think about this. But for our buyers and our sellers, if this is your first time buying or selling a home since some changes have occurred, so if this is your first time buying or selling since before August of 2024, this is going to be news to you. And I want to talk about it specifically where I'm working in the Villages, Florida. And it might be different for you if you're in a different state or in a different area. But here in Central Florida, this question has come to me again a few times recently. Who pays the buyer commission? So who's going to pay the buyer agent? That's a loaded question. There's no right or wrong answer, but I'm going to tell you what is customary here, and the short answer is the seller. So the seller is typically going to pay the commission. Now, it's all negotiable, and that's what this whole NAR settlement back in August 2024 was about. The cool thing is, at our brokerage here at Realty Executives in the Villages, our awesome broker, Glenn Stein, talked about this until we were blue in the face. So we could probably talk about it in our sleep if we wanted to. So again, the short answer is the seller. We actually personally don't take on any listings at our brokerage where they do not offer a minimum of 2.5%. Now, it could be different if it's over $1 million price point. There could be some flexibility there, but in general, it's going to be 2.5% or higher, but at least at 2.5%. We actually advertise that in our local paper. Yes, people here in the Villages still read the newspaper, and we advertise it along all of our feature ads that our brokerage offers 2.5% commission. And why? Why would we ask that of our sellers? Because of course we want the best for our sellers. We want the fastest transactions. We've actually hit best days on market multiple times when we've looked at quarter reports. So we beat out other, not just in sales and inventory, but also in we beat out other MLS brokerages in our area with days on market. So of course we want the best, we want top dollar for our sellers. So why are we asking them to still do it the old school way? So let me rewind a little bit. So back in August 2024, there was this whole NAR settlement, and there were two major changes that happened. The one is the buyer broker commission was taken off of the MLS. So the multiple listing service no longer had that anymore. And it's not that it went away. The buyer agent commission didn't just disappear, but it disappeared from the MLS. So the National Association of Realtors basically said, we don't want anything to do with this anymore. It's all negotiable. It's between you guys. So when you make a deal, so when you list a home or you buy a home, this is all negotiable and we are out of this. So it's not listed anymore. That's the first change. The second change is when you are working with an agent, so as a buyer, you need to have an agreement. So it doesn't matter if you are working with your grandson or your best friend, you need to have a buyer broker agreement in place. And that's going to protect you, and it's going to protect the agent. It's going to make sure everybody knows what is going on. There's no surprises at the closing table. There's no surprises when you're putting in an offer. You're going to have that up front. And you can have it on a very short term. You could just say, for this afternoon from 12 noon to 2 p.m., I'm working with Realty Executives in the Villages with Joni Snape, and this is what her commission fee is. So the agent's going to write in there whether they charge 2.5%, 3%, whatever it is, and then they might have an office fee. That's something you don't want to be surprised about at the closing table. What is their office fee? Do they have a cancellation fee? It's going to have it all in there, and it's going to protect everybody. And I know that buyers want their agents to be compensated, and sometimes, before this whole NAR settlement took place, people were saying, well, how do I know you're getting taken care of? They want to make sure that their agent was being paid. well, they're gonna know exactly how they're being paid. Is there a big paper trail that your agent has to do behind the scenes? Yes. So it's a lot more paperwork now, whether it's a buyer broker agreement or different things. Your agent is going to take care of that. You don't need to worry about it, but you do need to honor them. And I would even ask them up front. You know, if you and I are working together, I've probably been very bold and talked about it with you already. It's just normal. But if you're working with an agent and, you know, they might be shy about it, ask them, hey, do you want me to sign a buyer broker agreement? Trust me, that will be music to their ears, because that is what they're supposed to do. And again, it's going to protect you. And I want to just quickly talk about what is the value of a buyer agent. You know, some people may think, okay, I'm going to cut some corners, I'm going to go right to the seller. Well, sometimes that might be good. You might have a story where that worked out for you. But I assure you that if you have a good buying agent, that is priceless. They're going to know the market. They're going to know when listings are coming on, going off. I have clients right now, I have buyers who I've been working with for, I want to say 8 months. And I still have a whole track record of everything they have liked and looked at over the last 8 months. So some of those homes, they expired, they went off market. I still have that in my whole list of, you know, all their data. So I can go back in, I can talk to any of those sellers when they are ready. Next month, not even a month from now, they're gonna be ready. So your buyer agent has a lot of value. They're gonna know the market. They're gonna know if it's overvalued. You know, unless you're getting an appraisal, you might not know that. You might not know what the stats are. What are those list to sell closing ratios? Your agent is gonna know that. This year, I actually saved one of my clients 85% on his home. And that might not sound like a lot, like, okay, 85%, that's, you know, we came in at 85%, sorry, so I saved him 15%. So 15% discount on a home, how much is that? Well, to that client, it was $120,000, over $120,000 that he saved on the purchase of his home. Now, that took, you know, some very strategic planning, and, you know, it had been on the market for a certain amount of days. It was, you know, there were lots of moving parts to it, and I made sure that I presented it in a way that that honored both the seller, the buyer, and everybody was happy for the closing. So it's important to, you know, to bring in that expert, to have someone who's representing you. So I hope that helps. I hope that gives you clarity. And again, this just talks about here in Central Florida, specifically in the Villages, you're going to have that peace of mind. Is it clear across the board that every single transaction, it's going to be covered, your selling agent is going to pay 3%? No, but is it the norm? Yes, it's the norm that the seller is going to take care of the buyer agent commission. Again, all of our listings, the Realty Executives in the Villages, are going to include it. So, happy shopping for your house. I would love to hear your experience. If you have some feedback on this, maybe you have bought or sold a home since these new changes came out in last August. I would love to hear. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day. And please subscribe or like, share, reach out to me, give me your feedback, your questions. I always love to connect with you and to answer anything that will help you. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon.